today we're going to look at Maimeri Blue Dragon's Blood. This is pigment PB25. I'm putting it in my hot press watercolor pad. It's going to dry a little faster, but it acts like a very staining watercolor to me. It blends very nicely as long as you keep a wet edge. It's a pigment you can layer with, which is an advantage because most of the earth pigments granulate, and that makes them difficult to layer with because as you go over them, they pick back up. But this one's going to stay put. Here's the finished sketchbook page, and it reminds me a little bit of sanguine pastels that you draw with. That color, it's very pretty on its own. All right, so let's see if it mixes like burnt sienna, which is what I actually think it would replace, maybe. We'll mix it with ultramarine, phthalo blue green shade, and cobalt blue. I'm surprised. I thought it would make a gray, but it's more of a violet kind of. It's like a violet brown. I bet it'll be violetish with cobalt blue too. Since phthalo leans a little more green, there it is. There is that gray. Wonder what would happen if I added a little bit more of the dragon's blood to it. Well, let's put some underneath it of that mixture and see what that looks like. Yeah, nice gray, very neutral. It's not very dark though. I wonder how it would compare to Schmincke's Payne's gray, not the blue Payne's gray, but just the plain Schmincke Payne's gray. Yeah, that's a lot darker. I'm curious how burnt sienna and phthalo blue compares to dragon's blood and phthalo blue. I was expecting this green color from the dragon's blood and the phthalo blue, but it kind of makes sense because the dragon's blood is much pinker and burnt sienna is more orange. Okay, now let's do a little speed paint with dragon's blood and phthalo blue. We'll do a spooky cemetery. And I want a full moon, so I cut a circle out of masking tape and I placed it where I want the moon, and then I don't have to think about it very much. And I wetted down the paper so I could do a wet on wet. This is going to stain, so doing a wet on wet is going to be a must. And it looks like I've got the combination right here, the ratio, but that's not going to be nearly enough to do that background. So I'm just going to use everything that's left of the dragon's blood in this little dish and mix it with phthalo blue. That's pretty good. It's darker than I thought I was going to be able to get with it. So let's see how dark it dries, how much of a drying shift there is. And this is just a quick sketch, you guys. We're not trying to paint the Sistine Chapel here. We just want to play with this combination to see how it handles. Besides using dragon's blood as that sanguine kind of color to sketch with, I imagine I would personally mix phthalo blue with it to get a staining, non-granulating gray or a neutral tint. But it doesn't really move a lot. So that's good to know. It seems like it needs quite a bit of help. And this is cotton cold press watercolor paper. So if it was going to move, it would move here. Okay, let's peel off that masking tape and paint the moon. I looked up a reference on my phone just so I could get a general idea of where the dark spots are. Now that this is fairly dry, I can ghost in a little tree and some of the further out gravestones. Okay, so this is going pretty well. I'm very pleased with how it layers. It doesn't backwash, so I don't have any cauliflower blooms, which is also really good to know. It does dry a little bit lighter than when it is wet, which is to be expected. It'll be interesting to see how dark I can get this. I think I can get it pretty dark. You do have to be careful because it needs to be just the right amount of damp. I'm going to ghost in another little tree in the background and a few distant marker stones. I'm trying to vary the marker stones a little bit. I'm not using any kind of a reference, so I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. Just experimenting. Maybe I'll have to talk some friends into plein air painting next full moon. Okay, I did notice that even though it doesn't really cauliflower, if you get it at the wrong amount of damp, it can kind of do something kind of weird. It just takes a little practice. Every pigment is a little different. Anyway, while I was waiting for the light layers to dry in between, I looked up to see what other artists thought of this dragon's blood. And it doesn't seem to be real well loved, but not hated either. Just got kind of a lukewarm reception. But I kind of think I would really like it because I mostly like transparent staining colors because I like the predictability for my style of painting. But I can also see the allure of the granulating pigments, so I'll keep that on my palette too. But overall, I think this was a really successful and fun experiment. I hope that you enjoyed it too. I liked it especially because it was free, and that doesn't happen very often. Who can argue with free? Right? So it was fun. It got me to do something, paint something I ordinarily wouldn't paint, which is also fun. And anyway, here it is finished. Thanks a lot for joining me today. So take care, you guys. I'll see you in the next video, and happy Halloween.